I'm welcoming Erin Cox. Hello, Erin.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, and thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Erin is part of the 8th Day Center for Justice in Chicago. You are staff there?
Yes, I've been a staff there for about 3 years now.
Wow, and some of our listeners may also listen to the 8th Day Center show, which is on the second and fourth Sunday of each month at 7 p.m. Just for those who don't know about the 8th Day Center, you want to tell us what your mission is, what the group has been known for, how long it's been in existence? We got some time.
Sure. So 8th Day Center is a multi-issue grassroots organization. We represent religious congregations throughout the Midwest. And we
Of all varieties?
Of all varieties,
Okay.
with a Catholic organization. And we came together 35 years ago. We just this year celebrated our 35th anniversary. And sort of our mission in a very condensed version is to see that all issues are interrelated, all creation is sacred, and that we work to kind of bring awareness to the fact with our social analysis how all issues are intercreated and how injustice is really caused by systemic problems, and that there's not one issue that trumps another, but yet that they all sort of work together and are interrelated and interconnected together. So a lot of the issues that we focus on range from environmental justice to issues in Central and South America to the wars in Afghanistan, Iraq, and so we use sort of our analysis of working on all those different issues and sort of see how one another relates to each other and work to educate and advocate for religious communities throughout the Midwest.
Okay, so you said it was all religions, but you also said it's a Catholic organization?
It's a Catholic organization. It's not all religion.
Oh, okay, Catholic. Okay, so the social justice teachings of the Catholic Church, which I'm vaguely familiar with, 18 years of Catholic education, do not necessarily propose to be or are issues that all Catholics agree on.
Correct.
We had the example recently of, one of the Kennedys out in Rhode Island being told by his bishop he should not take communion. Do you take a stand in 8th Day Center on women's right to choose? Or do you sort of stay clear of it, as it were?
Right. Well, we as staff sort of have our own views of feminism within the church and our own positions of that. We don't always we can't always make statements for all of the religious communities that we represent, but as
Sure.
staff within the center itself, we have a little bit more of a freedom to take stances, for example, for the women's right to be ordained as priests, for women's rights within the church, and many of the issues that we take on, we do sometimes agree with the communities, religious communities, but the fact that we represent 40 different communities, it's sort of, we would have to...
In other words, abortion is too hot button to
Exactly.
take a stand on.
Right.
To not leave some people behind.
Yeah.
I got you. Well, I ask it directly because I think that sooner or later, as the healthcare debate in Washington has proven, we're going to have to be able to talk with one another who disagree on that one issue or pick any one issue in order to get something bigger and more important accomplished, like healthcare right now. So you guys, I think, have done a lot of that kind of work. I've always been admiring the work of the 8th Day Center, and particularly a lot of your members have done anti-war activities, and it seems like in times when no one else is standing up against war, religious and religious communities have the ability to keep that question alive and to keep our right to look at what is really happening when a war is going on alive. In other words, look at who the victims are, et cetera, et cetera. So the Honduras trip you just came back from, it comes from a long line of involvement in Central American political activity. What learning did you do before you decided, okay, I'm going to Honduras? Where were you at personally in your awareness of Central American history, politics, all that stuff?
Sure. Well, personally, I had actually lived in Honduras in 2005. I lived and worked on a farm that was actually, it wasn't a working farm, it was an orphanage called Finca del Niño, Farm of the Child.
Was it in Tegucigalpa or
It was
outside?
in Trujillo, which is on the west or eastern coast of Honduras.
Okay.
But yet when I was living there, you know, I witnessed a lot of the poverty. Honduras is one of the poorest countries in Central America. And as a result of, you know, poverty, a lot of orphans. And so, you know, my first contact with Honduras was more of direct service. When I started working at Eighth Day's had a lot of involvement with the School of the Americas Watch. School of the Americas being, for our listeners who aren't familiar, a base on U.S. soil in Fort Benning, Georgia. We just recently had
your
annual 30th anniversary, or 20th anniversary, sorry.
We mentioned that on the air the weekend that everyone was there, and we have covered it in the past. How were you there for that?
Yes. Yes,
You get around, girl.
Eighth Day gets around for sure. We travel quite a bit to different places, and so it's the connection with the School of the Americas, now called the Western Hemisphere Institute for Security Cooperation.
And are they still at Fort Benning? I heard they moved.
They are still at Fort Benning.
So, okay, I interrupted you, but basically what you were talking about, you worked on a finca at this orphanage.
Correct.
And was your job with the kids or with the land or both?
My job was with the kids primarily. I worked as a quote-unquote social worker, not officially, but worked with young teens who you know, had received, we were teachers on the farm, we were social workers, we were community organizers, and primarily all of the volunteers were from the United States or Europe, and so worked with the kids to find opportunities once they left the farm, which ironically enough, due to the amount of poverty, and there wasn't a lot of jobs or opportunities. So we found a lot of times that many of the kids found their options elsewhere, be it thought about going to the States, and so it was sort of a frustrating situation.
Social work. It's the description of social work.
Yeah.
Frustrating.
Exactly.